Our security and defence editor, Deborah Haynes, joins me now. And Deborah, some of the imagery we're seeing is so reminiscent of things we've seen before in Iraq, in Libya as well, and power vacuums there cause real problems next. So what is likely to happen next in Syria?
Well, for the millions of Syrians who have had their lives destroyed, upturned by the brutal crackdown by the Assad regime after that peaceful uprising as part of the Arab Spring that took place in Syria back in 2011. The images that are being played out now of regime pictures being pulled down, statues knocked over, Bashar al Assad now disappeared, will of course be hugely welcome. There'll be a huge amount of relief and celebration, but also nervousness about what comes next. This rapid advance by the rebel forces, this patchwork of rebel forces led by HTS, which is, it's, as we all know, has its roots back linked to Al Qaeda. They have since then recast themselves as a absolutely anti-Assad group that has been effectively governing the province of Idlib for the past few years, and keen really to distance themselves from their historic past and to focus more on being an organisation that can be more tolerant of minorities, placing themselves presumably to be the kingmakers when it comes to whoever does step up to take over power in this moment of transition. But it is also, like you say, a moment of peril in these security vacuums, as we've seen following the collapse of strongman rule in the past. Think Saddam Hussein in Iraq, think Gaddafi in Libya. There has been, as well, like we're seeing here, scenes of joy, jubilation, optimism, hope for a peaceful future. Only then for there to be infighting, for there to be the spread of, in the case of Iraq, you had the rise of Al Qaeda. In Libya, you've also had Islamist militant groups, rival as well, tribal factions. And in Syria, it's already a country that has for years now been divided, swathes of the north under Syrian Kurdish control. Now you've got this huge uprising that has toppled the capital, Damascus, but there will be a power vacuum, and it will be really important to see whether or not there can be a stable transition of power, and even if that does happen, whether it can hold. And of course, powers in the region and globally will be holding their breath right now.
Well, Deborah, let me pick up on that, because the rebels have been a sort of rather loose coalition, as you say, aimed at toppling Bashar al Assad, but they do have, certainly in HTS, an Islamist approach, and as you mentioned there, Al Qaeda elements in it as well. You've also got the acrimony between Turkey and the Kurdish forces too. I guess it begs the question, does this all leave the door open to continued violence, but perhaps of a different sort to what we've seen in Syria recently?
It absolutely does. It's got all the ingredients there of, if there is not restraint and if there is not an ability to move forward diplomatically, then the rivalry and the hatred could well ignite a new evolution of violence. I mean, to start off with, will be the need to deal with the horrific violence inflicted by the Assad regime on its people, backed by Iran, backed by Hezbollah, backed by Russia. How does any emerging power deal with punishment for that and not lead to vengeance or retribution? And then as well, like you say, you've obviously got Turkey has played a key role in supporting a number of these rebel groups, but it's no secret that it views Syrian Kurdish groups as enemies. Will there be clashes there? And for the West, for the UK, for example, and the United States, they will be watching very closely what happens to the refugee camp, the prison camps, effectively, in North and Northeast Syria, where you have Islamic State fighters being held by Syrian guards. And you'll remember there's been a long dispute over where to put these people in these camps. They've basically, Western governments have effectively taken advantage of the fact that it's lawless, ungoverned in terms of any official sense and internationally recognised sense territory for these camps to be allowed to stay there. But if a formal government arrives in Syria, then what's going to happen to those camps?